The SLK is characterized by a long bonnet, a long wheelbase and short overhangs at front and rear. This lends it a stretched, dynamic appearance despite its compact dimensions. It's more than 50 centimeters shorter than the R129, with an overall length of 3 meters 99. Another fascinating detail is the unique Vario roof. This opens and closes automatically in less than 30 seconds and converts the SLK into an open roadster or a coupe with a fixed steel roof as required. The roof, together with the rear window and C-pillars, is folded down and deposited in the boot. The advantage, a boot volume of 145 litres remains available even when the roof is stowed, and at 348 litres the volume is far larger than in conventional roadsters when the roof is raised. The new Roadster has been designed as an uncompromising two-seater sports car. The interior design and colour scheme, as well as the historical note of certain styling elements, provide a sporty atmosphere. These include a newly designed steering wheel with a diameter of 380 millimetres, a cockpit with 3 dial instruments, new comfortable seats with bucket-type sides, a carbon-look control panel in the centre console, stainless steel door sill panels and a sporty pedal cluster with studded rubber finish. An ashtray with integrated coin holder and a large selection of contrasting interior colours. The sections on the body, the engine, chassis, maintenance and accessories will present the R170 series to you from the service angle. Despite compact external dimensions, it's been possible to achieve the very high level of passive safety typical of a Mercedes. The outstanding safety-related features are the large deformation zones in the front and rear ends, the high longitudinal and transverse rigidity of the passenger cell, 2 fixed rollover bars, and extremely robust A-pillars. In the event of a frontal collision, the intelligent arrangement of the compact drive units, as well as the perfected front-end geometry, prevent intrusion into the passenger cell. The transmission of forces is optimized by ellipsoid convex firewall bearing surfaces, which enable the longitudinal members to be connected without a forked member. The metal thickness of the firewall has also been increased. The front section, with its welded traverse and front cross member, is similar to that in the 202 series. The high longitudinal rigidity of the passenger cell has been achieved by an inset transmission tunnel with a higher wall thickness, a floor section with continuous connecting members, large section longitudinal side members of high-strength steel with an increased metal thickness, and robust nodal connections between the A-pillars and the longitudinal side members. Highly resistant cross members ensure high lateral passenger cell rigidity. Beneath the windscreen and instrument panel to support the A-pillars. Beneath the seats to support the longitudinal side members. And above the rear wall to support the B-pillar stubs. The large section longitudinal side members, in conjunction with tubular sections in the doors, significantly reduce intrusion. In the event of a rollover, the combined effect of the A-pillar system and rollover bars is a crucial factor for occupant protection. A sleeve tube of high-strength steel is welded into each A-pillar. These tubes reinforce the A-pillars at curb height. The rollover bars, which are of high-strength steel, are bolted to the robust cross member which connects the B-pillar stubs. The fuel tank and filler neck are located in a protected position above the rear axle. This arrangement also provides scope for generous deformation zones at the rear end. The front ends of the rear longitudinal members are connected to the longitudinal side members and the members in the floor section by a forked member. The welded rear wall and a bolted dividing wall of extruded magnesium between the fuel tank and the boot, as well as diagonal struts at the front and rear of the frame, significantly contribute to vibration resistance. Two-way hinges connected to a robust tubular frame allow the boot lid to be opened either forward or to the rear. If the boot lid and its frame are pushed forward in a severe rear-end deformation, the frame is retained by consoles welded to the body shell. The two rollover bars provide additional protection. The body-coloured bumper claddings of the SLK are extended to the midpoint of the headlights and radiator grille at the front and to the lower edges of the rear light clusters at the rear. The lower dark grey section may be separately replaced. The bumper claddings are continuous at the front and are formed as protective corners and continuous joints at the rear. Any paint repairs can therefore be restricted to the claddings themselves. The so-called repair crash test at 15 km an hour with a 40% overlap has shown that the effort required to repair body damage is low. Even the roof stowed in the boot remained undamaged and was still able to be closed despite a slightly deformed tubular frame. The front bumper is mounted with 8 bolts. 2 at top and bottom centre, 1 each at left and right below the indicator units, and 1 each in the wheel arches where they join the wings. The rear bumper is mounted with 3 bolts at the centre, 1 each at right and left in the boot recesses, and 1 each in the right and left wheel arches. The separately replaceable exhaust tailpipe also contributes to a further reduction in repair costs. The mirror housing no longer needs to be removed before replacing the glass. Only a spring must be disengaged prior to replacement. The electrical connections for the mirror heating circuit are clearly marked to prevent confusion. The towing lug is reached by completely removing the centre strip in the air intake. The Vario roof is a 2-piece sheet steel construction. The front section of the roof is reinforced by a continuous frame. The rear section, C-pillars and rear window by means of a multi-piece internal lining. The heated rear window is of 3 mm thick single-pane safety glass. The roof frame is sealed with strips of soft rubber. Watertightness and noise insulation are to coupe standard. The front roof section is engaged in the top of the windscreen frame by 2 locking mechanisms. The 2 roof sections are forced into the locked position at their central axis by positive locking slides and unlocked by Bowden cables. This prevents the roof from lifting at its center axis at higher speeds. The rear roof section is attached to the vehicle body by a tilting mechanism. The boot lid was able to tilt in both fore and aft directions, for which purpose a special 7-section hinge was developed. The hinge is attached to an auxiliary frame. The frame is able to pivot on 2 hinges mounted on the rear end crossmember and is also located by 2 locking mechanisms on the wheel arches. The auxiliary frame is guided by rollers along its sides to ensure a correct fit. The logic of the roof operating switch with its final locking function corresponds to that of the R129. With the car stationary and the ignition switched on, the following must apply before the roof can be operated. The boot divider must be engaged to prevent the roof from colliding with any luggage. And the boot lid must be closed. The operating sequence for the Vario roof is as follows. All the side windows are lowered. The boot lid is unlocked and opened. The Vario roof is unlocked and retracted. The two-piece parcel shelf is raised and the cover sections at the sides are closed. The roof is lowered into the boot and locked in place. The parcel shelf returns to its locked position. The boot lid is closed and locked. The front side windows are raised. The rear side windows remain in their recesses to eliminate the possibility of injury from exposed corners. If the car starts moving while the switch is operated, the system depressurizes at speeds of above 8 km per hour, and the operating sequence is interrupted. A draft stop is included as standard equipment. It's stretched over the rollover bar. As in the R129, the following electrical circuits are interrogated to ensure the safety of the roof and boot lid operating sequences. Boot lid catch locked or unlocked. Boot lid pivoted into raised position. Auxiliary frame locked in position. Boot divider engaged. Vario roof opened and stowed. Vario roof closed. And Vario roof locked in position. The controls for the Vario roof are integrated into the multifunctional control circuit. This controls the electric window motors at the front left and right, the electric window motors at the rear left and right, and the hydraulic roof operating unit with its relay, the thermal overload protection, the solenoid valve for the Vario roof, and the solenoid valve for the boot lid. The Vario roof controls are linked to the multifunction control unit as follows. Engine speed sensor at the front left. The control unit for the traction systems. The switches for the left and right front windows. Electric window motors front and rear, left and right. And the instrument cluster. The hydraulic system consists of a hydraulic unit with 2 solenoid valves and only 5 hydraulic cylinders with 10 hydraulic lines. 2 cylinders powering the Vario roof. 2 cylinders for the boot lid. And 1 cylinder for the 2 front roof locking mechanisms. The hydraulic unit consists of a triple piston pump with integral solenoid valves. This makes an additional valve block unnecessary. Like the R129, the motor is equipped with thermal overload protection. The improved lift of the reciprocating pump has made it possible to design the system as a closed circuit. Since a reciprocating pump is less susceptible to oil contamination than a gear pump, there's no need for lift and force filters. The hydraulic lines are permanently attached to the hydraulic cylinders to form a single unit. The hydraulic unit can't be overhauled, only replaced as a complete unit. In the event of a fault, the Vario roof can also be closed manually. For safety reasons, the parking brake should be engaged, the windows lowered, and the ignition key removed. To move the roof manually, the system must first be depressurized. To do this, the Allen key supplied is used to turn the pressure release screw fully counterclockwise. The auxiliary frame must now be unlocked manually. Two Bowden cables are concealed beneath the side panels for this purpose. The boot lid is then closed and tilted up fully towards the rear of the vehicle. The parcel shelf is lifted with one hand while the roof is carefully hoisted out of the boot. The roof and parcel shelf mustn't touch. When the roof is almost in position, it's held with one hand against the C-pillar while the locking lugs are carefully inserted into their recesses. The cover on the roof lining is removed and the locking mechanism turned in a clockwise direction with the Allen key until the roof locks into position. The locking mechanism is then re-engaged. The boot lid is then closed. Please note that in this situation the boot lid can't be locked and is therefore not weatherproof. Neither can the rear side windows be closed. For repair work to the side sections, the boot lid can be raised as a complete unit. To do this, the boot lid is first pivoted to the rear with the roof operating switch, then unlocked. The roof can also be halted in a half-open position to facilitate repairs. As the system depressurizes after a few minutes, which would cause the roof to close, the pressure can be restored by briefly pressing the roof operating switch. The diagnostics for the Vario roof are identical to those for the R129 and can be carried out with a handheld tester or the roof servicing unit. A new module and a test cable set are available for the roof servicing unit. The R170 is also equipped with the new Level 2A drive authorization system for increased operating reliability. The immobilizer is no longer armed and disarmed via the infrared remote control unit, as previously, but by data transfer from the ignition lock. The infrared key contains a transponder with an automatic code modulator. This is supplied with energy by a coil on the ignition lock when the ignition is switched on, and in turn emits a signal which is received by the coil and transmitted to the infrared central locking control unit. If the correct code is received, a signal is sent to the engine management system to disarm the immobilizer. The advantage of this arrangement is that a signal can be sent to the immobilizer whatever the charge condition of the battery in the infrared key and independently of the remote control system. Locking acknowledgement is given by the front and rear indicator lights, which blink 3 times on locking and once on unlocking. This function may be disabled using the handheld tester. The pneumatic control unit, PSE, is located in the spare wheel well. As in the 210 series, the PSE is linked to the multifunction control unit via a data bus. In addition to the fuses in the main fuse box, there are further fuses in the light switch module, and in the boot for the Vario roof. The light switch module is identical to that in the 210 series. The toolkit includes a special tool for easier fuse removal. The 170 series features 3 analog dial instruments of tubular design with light ivory faces and red needles. The control lamps are located in symbolic displays on the right and left. The time of day and mileage are shown by a liquid crystal display. The outside temperature indicator is standard equipment. The temperature sensor is located on the left side of the front bumper. The service indicator in the odometer display is a new feature. This serves as a reminder when the next vehicle service is due. The procedure for removing the instrument cluster is different from before. Removing the trim panel provides access to 4 fixing screws. The current generation of Mercedes-Benz radios is available as optional equipment. A radio with a single CD player is also available. The tweeters are installed behind the door catch panels, with the mid-range speakers in the front of the doors. If the Mercedes-Benz sound system is specified as an option, additional woofers are installed in the rear wall behind the seats. The amplifier is identical to that in the C-Class and is installed in the left rear of the boot. The radio aerial is integrated into the bumper. To ensure a reliable earth connection for the aerial, the bumper is attached with special washers. The aerial amplifier is located in the left boot recess. The mobile phone aerial is mounted on the rear wing. A parallel twin-arm wiper system is used in view of the relationship between the height and width of the windscreen. The touch wiping and after wiping functions are the same as in all other model series. The wiper arms are of different lengths, while the blades are of equal length. A spoiler is included on the driver's side. The washer nozzles are heated as standard, with a washer fluid heating system available on request. The washer fluid reservoir is located in the front right wheel arch. The wiper motor and linkages are easily accessible. For installation purposes, the parking positions for the wiper arms are marked in the center and on the right. The R170 also has headlamps with variable focus reflectors, together with H7 bulbs for the high and dipped beams. There are currently no plans for xenon lights. The headlamps are fitted with replaceable lenses of toughened plastic. The fog lamps are identical to those in the R129. A third brake light consisting of an LED strip is integrated into the boot lid. The headlamp washer unit is of the same design as in the 210 series. 2 telescopic arms driven by water pressure bring the washer nozzles into position. After use, the telescopic arms are retracted into the bumper cladding by return springs. The boot lighting is switched off together with the interior light. The fog lamps may be adjusted from outside. Headlamp adjustment and bulb replacement are very convenient. The operating unit for the automatic heating system is similar to that in the 210 series. The only difference is that rather than controlling the interior temperature, the system controls the air temperature at the air outlets. A dust filter, which is accessible from the passenger footwell, is included as standard. On request, the familiar automatic temperature control system may be specified for the SLK. Automatic climate control is not available. If the vehicle is equipped with air conditioning, the viscous fan is replaced by an electric suction fan. This makes an additional tandem booster unnecessary. The fan is infinitely regulated by a fan control unit at the front of the engine compartment on the left. The control procedure in detail. The control and operating unit for the automatic temperature control system transmits the values for refrigerant pressure and idle speed increase to the instrument cluster via a serial interface. The instrument cluster also uses a serial interface to transmit data for ambient temperature, refrigerant temperature, vehicle speed, engine speed, acceleration, temperature and lighting to the control unit for the automatic temperature control system. Via a CAN data bus, the instrument cluster is linked to the control units for the traction systems and hot film engine management. The hot film engine management unit transmits the values for the engine speed and refrigerant temperature to the instrument cluster via the data bus, the instrument cluster in turn transmitting its operating values to the control unit for the automatic temperature control system. The sport seats are designed on a new suspension principle. Despite their low installed height, these offer a very high level of seating comfort. The seat backs and cushions are fully foamed. The seat cushion is mounted on a pivot at the front and on two springs at the rear. Seat height adjustment is by means of a gas pressure strut rather than the previous incremental mechanism. The head restraints are adjustable only for height. As in all other model series, belt tensioners and belt force limiters are fitted in addition to the standard driver and passenger airbags. Side bags are available as optional equipment. The seat occupancy recognition system, which was first introduced in the newest states to suppress activation of the passenger airbag when the seat is unoccupied, is also standard equipment in the SLK. Automatic child safety seat recognition is also included for reboard seats. This suppresses activation of the passenger airbag when a special reboard seat, available as a Mercedes-Benz accessory, is installed. This reboard seat contains two transponders, which are inductively linked to the seat occupancy recognition system. The voltage supply and data exchange between the transponders is also inductive on the transformer principle. A control lamp on the center console indicates that the passenger airbag has been deactivated. The compressor models are equipped with crash cutout relay. In the event of a crash with airbag activation, this interrupts the electrical circuit between the generator, terminal 30, and the battery to prevent a short circuit. The cutout relay is directly activated by the belt tensioner airbag control unit at terminal 15. It must always be replaced after every airbag activation, as the battery would otherwise become discharged. The 2-litre Model 111 engine with 100 kilowatts is used as the basic power unit. Its technical data are identical to those of the 111 engine in the 202 and 210 series. The M111 turbocharged 2.3-litre engine with an output of 142 kilowatts is the more powerful alternative. This already achieves its peak output with 95-octane premium gasoline. A 2-litre version of this engine with 141 kilowatts will be supplied to certain export markets. Because of its higher compression ratio, this engine must, however, be operated with 98-octane Super Plus gasoline. For noise and weight reduction reasons, the cylinder head cover is of die-cast magnesium. Turbocharging is by means of an Eaton compressor having a capacity of approximately 1 litre per charge cycle. 2 triple rotors positioned at a 60-degree angle to each other rotate freely inside a housing and deliver the axial intake airflow to the opposing radial outlet. The compressor is regulated by the hot film engine management unit and activated by a magnetic clutch when required. It may be separately removed from above. The intercooler is most important for the quality of a turbocharged engine. It has a considerable influence on the charging efficiency. Despite its low position, the intercooler is well protected. The 2.3-litre engine is equipped with the new engine management system called ME 2.1. In addition to control unit functions such as fuel injection, ignition and anti-knock control, this also integrates functions for the electronic accelerator pedal, immobilizer and tempomat. Tempomat cruise control is available as optional equipment. The 170 series already features the modifications which have been announced for the 111 engines in model year 96-2. In both engines, the location of the oxygen sensor has been changed as compared to the 202 series. The tip starter function is a new feature. However long the ignition key is turned, the starting procedure is automatically initiated after approximately 60 milliseconds, the magnetic switch being addressed via the starter relay until the engine starts. The standard 5-speed manual transmissions in the SLK 200 and the 2 compressor models are identical to those in the 202 series. The new electronically controlled 5-speed automatic transmission with a torque converter lockup clutch is available for all models as optional equipment. The suspension is stiffer and therefore more sporty than in the 202 series. To improve ride comfort, the front shock absorbers are equipped with regressive action pistons, as in the 210 series. Level control is not available. The suspension height at the front axle is 20 mm lower than in the 202 series. The track has been reduced by approximately 16 mm as compared to the 202 series by offsetting the 2 half shafts in parallel. The multi-link independent rear suspension from the 202 series has been adopted for the SLK. In terms of precise wheel location and outstanding ride comfort, this is unequaled by any other system. The SLK 200 has size 205/60 tyres mounted on 15-inch light alloy wheels at front and rear. The nostalgic look of the hubcaps is a retro design feature. The SLK 230 has tyres of different sizes on 16-inch light alloy wheels. 205/55 at the front and 225/50 at the rear. In place of a conventional spare wheel, the vehicle is equipped with a tyre fit sealing kit for the first time. The space saved is used for a luggage box with a volume of 21 litres. On request, the car can be supplied with a collapsible spare tyre. Whichever system is specified, an electric air pump for inflating the collapsible spare tyre or a sealed tyre is included as standard equipment. The vehicle jack and toolkit are accommodated in a foam receptacle. Tyre fit enables minor tyre perforations to be repaired quickly. The sealing compound is injected through the tyre valve. The shelf life of the product is currently 2 years. The maximum speed permissible with a sealed tyre is 80 km per hour. Sealed tyres or the collapsible tyre may be inflated with the electric pump supplied. This obtains its power from the vehicle's electrical supply. A tyre which has been sealed in this way must be replaced. A defective collapsible tyre can't be repaired. After use, the tyre folds down completely flat and may be reused. The proven servo-assisted recirculating ball steering system of the 202 series is used in the SLK, with modifications to suit SLK-specific parameters. The configuration has been modified, for example, and the drag link has been adapted to suit the reduced track and the engine location. A manual length adjustment for the steering column is available as an optional item for all models. There are no plans for electrical adjustment. The components for the braking and control systems have been adopted from the 202 and 210 series. All models are equipped with the brakes of the current E200 with ventilated discs at the front. ABS is standard equipment. ETS is available as optional equipment for the SLK 200. ASR is standard equipment in the compressor models. A lever-type parking brake is used as a stylistic element. The newly developed fuel tank, with a volume of 53 litres, is located above the rear axle, behind a bulkhead of die-cast magnesium. As in the 210 series, a lever-type sensor is used to indicate the fuel level. In the event of a fault in the central locking system, the fuel filler cap may also be unlocked manually. A newly designed vehicle handbook with a clearer, more attractive layout is used in the SLK for the first time. When open, the bonnet is supported by a gas-filled strut. A locking mechanism must be released to bring the bonnet into vertical position. The new service indicator determines the mileage or time by which the next vehicle service is due. The service display lights up automatically whenever the warning period of 2,000 kilometers or miles or 30 days has been exceeded, whichever is the first. If the service interval has been exceeded, negative values are displayed. The display lights up automatically 5 seconds after switching on the ignition or when the engine is running, and goes out after a further 10 seconds. The remaining mileage or time before a service is due may be established by pressing the left reset button twice with the ignition switched on or the engine running. The display is extinguished automatically if the button is pressed again or after approximately 10 seconds. After every lubrication service or maintenance, the display must be set back by 15,000 kilometers or 7,500 miles. The left button is depressed with the ignition key in position 1. Then the ignition key is turned to position 2. An audible signal is given after 10 seconds and 15,000 kilometers or 7,500 miles are shown on the display. The button is then released. A service indicator which has been set back unintentionally can only be reset with the handheld tester. The service intervals remain unchanged. These are every 15,000 kilometers for a lubrication service and 30,000 kilometers for a maintenance. A roof carrier system is also available for the R170. This may be used with the roof either open or closed. Special roof rails have been developed for mounting the basic carrier rails. The roof rails are bolted to the A-pillars and the boot recess. Light alloy wheels and a range of attractive accessories round off the SLK. This concludes the introduction to the SLK from the service angle. Please also acquaint yourself with the available service literature and take part in the available training programs. We're sure that you too will contribute to the success of this new roadster.